Hey everyone, I'm live here with my friend Hunter Myers. My name is Andrea Hatton. I'm the founder of the Hive Wichita. It's a community and co-working workspace for women here in Wichita, Kansas. I know some of you may be joining us from all over. Hunter and I have known each other for about a year. When she first moved back to Wichita, we got in touch and she started working here at the Hive. And we also partnered on a program, my program called the Hive Academy, and had a really awesome time working with landing pages and funnels. And I got to see her design work. And so I am super excited for her masterclass that she has today for us. So I'm actually going to let Hunter take it from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrea. I am really, really grateful that you were willing to hop on and kind of do this quick introduction. Partnering with you has always been, one of my favorite parts of kind of moving to Wichita, like getting to be involved in the Hive and all of that. So thank you. I will let you hop off. I know that you'll be watching us, on the back end. So super, super excited. Thank you again. Let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. All righty. So super excited to be here with all of you. I do want to get a little bit of kind of some housekeeping stuff out of the way first. The first thing that I want to say is that I am streaming. I had mentioned this kind of in the comments. I'm streaming from StreamYard. So there is going to be a wee bit of a delay. So if you see me pausing, because I'm going to be asking you guys a lot of questions throughout this masterclass. If you see me pausing, don't worry. I am, I'm not frozen. I'm just sitting here waiting for some of your guys' comments to pop up. If you have not already given StreamYard access to your name and profile photo, make sure that you do so, because that's going to allow me to see your comments. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. Again, I'm really, really excited. We are going to do a little bit more housekeeping. Number one, engagement is going to be key for this masterclass. I had mentioned in some of the emails that I sent out that we are going to do a drawing at the end. So the more you engage, the higher your likelihood of winning the $50 Amazon gift card. So really, really excited about that. The other thing that I want you to keep in mind too is that engaging is going to help you remember the content better. By engaging and answering questions and sharing takeaways and all of that, that's going to improve your retention. And that's the whole point of this masterclass. I want you to walk away with the information, walk away with the knowledge. So make sure that you're engaging. Number two, use the hashtag gold nugget when you hear something good. So any takeaways, any good talking points, use this comment section kind of as your notes section, essentially. So this is going to be where it's going to help you and other people attending kind of pull those takeaways. So make sure that you're doing that. And then third, if you have a question, use hashtag question, because that's going to make it much easier for me and the people that are helping me pull these questions out of the comment section. So instead of me having to kind of scroll through and figure out what's going on and find, where questions were asked or where they weren't asked, make sure that you use hashtag question. So to make sure that we understand the engagement, what I would love is if some of you went ahead and told me where you're watching from. So Andrea and I just spoke. She mentioned that a lot of us are going to be here from Wichita, but I know there are plenty of you who are not. So in the comment section, let me know where you're watching from. And I'll give you a little bit of time and I will grab some water. I see we've got some Wichita, which is perfect. Cynthia, very glad that you're here. Illinois, love it. Wichita, perfect. Yes, a lot of Wichita folks here. I love it. So now that we've given people a little bit of time to join us, we're about 4 to 5 minutes in. I'll go ahead and kind of start diving in. So I do want to tell you guys a little bit more about myself first. So I do not know all of you personally. I know there are quite a few of you that I do know, but for anyone that I don't know, I want to tell you a little bit about me. So my name is Hunter. I'm a brand strategist and graphic designer, and I run Verger Design Co. I have a little French bulldog. Chances are you will hear her during this masterclass. She loves to snore very, very loud. So please just try to ignore it if you can. If she starts doing it, I will try to wake her up. But she's a doll. She's been my partner in crime for years now. I moved up to Wichita from Austin, Texas. That's where I was living previously. Plants are my life. Obviously, you can probably see a ton of them in my background. Any time that I can get a plant, I am definitely doing so. And then another thing that I want to share is that I have been a professional graphic designer for 4 years. But prior to that, I have over a decade's worth of illustration experience. In my free time, you'll catch me drawing. I also paint murals around towns. Like, art has always been a big part of my life. So that's a little bit about me. If you can relate to any of these things, especially plants, I would love to know who my plant lovers are. So if you wanted to tell me in the comments, if you love plants, please do so. I'd also love to know your favorite kind if you have one. So I'll keep my eyes on those comments. In the meantime, though, we'll go ahead and get rolling because I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. I appreciate that you all have taken the time to come and invest your time with me, invest in your learning, invest in your knowledge. And so I really want to make sure we're getting the most out of it. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually a little activity. We're going to do a mini brand audit, okay? So before we get into any of this content, we're going to go through a couple of questions. And I want you to be honest. I want you to answer as honestly as you can and tell me either yes or no to the question. That's the rule. You can only say yes. You can only say no. Maybes are not allowed. We do not do maybes here. It's a yes or a no. Does that sound good? Let me know in the comments if you're reading me. Yes or no. Once I get your guys' comments in, we'll go ahead and get started. Andrea Monsteras are my favorite too. Alrighty, I'm getting some yeses in. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1, can you confidently say who you serve in your business? Let me know in the comments. Can you confidently say who you serve in your business? Getting some yeses. Perfect. That's okay. We've got to know. That's okay. Next question. Can you confidently say your branding matches the prices you want to be charging? So can you confidently say that your branding matches the prices you want to be charging? Let me know in the comments. We've got a couple no's. That's okay. Some yeses. Again, can you confidently say your branding matches the prices you want to be charging? Number 3, is your branding consistent and evident across platforms? So what this means is, if I were to show up on your Facebook or your Instagram or your website, would it look like the same business? So is your branding consistent and evident across platforms? Getting lots of comments. I love it. Number 4, do you feel good and confident when your ideal clients encounter your brand? So when they come across your brand, do you feel confident? Let me know in the comments, yes or no. And the last question, Do you have a full logo suite? So do you have more than one logo that you can use? So a full suite, yes or no? Cynthia, I totally understand what it feels like to be nervous before working with someone. Alrighty, so we've gotten a handful of no's and a handful of yeses. It's time to tally some of this up, okay? So I would love for you to go through and tell me the number of no's that you said. So of all the questions, there were 5. How many of them were no's? Got some numbers rolling in. 4, a 3, some 3s. 3 seems pretty consistent. Okay, a couple of 2s. Perfect. So if you said no to any of these questions, you will undoubtedly be able to take something away from today's class, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in. We're gonna do an overview first, what we're gonna cover today. So first things first, we're gonna talk about what makes a brand professional. So that's the first thing we're gonna cover. The second thing we're gonna cover are the 5 biggest branding mistakes that I have seen DIYers make and what you can do to avoid them. The third thing we'll cover is the number one mindset shift you need to make if you want to build a successful and professional brand. And then the last thing we'll cover are 3 things that you can do after this class to start making your brand more professional. So let's get started. What makes a brand professional? I want to pose this question to all of you. So in the comments, tell me, it could be a single word, it could be a couple words. What to you makes a brand feel and appear professional? All right, I'm seeing a good website, strong values, visual identity, consistency. That's a key one. I'm going to touch on consistency in a little bit. A polished look, clean, perfect. Okay, so I have broken this down into 3 things. There are three main categories or 3 main topics that can make a brand look professional. The first one is clarity. This is a crisp design. This is strong values. This is something that's maybe not too busy. Another thing that's very, very important with regards to imagery is making sure that things are not pixelated, whether that be your website or your photos. All of these things make a brand look professional. If you don't do these things, it's one of the first signs that, wait a second, something's not right here. So clarity. Clarity is the first thing. The second thing is cohesion. How cohesive is your brand? So this would be things like balance. Do your colors complement each other? Do your fonts complement each other, or are they competing? Is it easy to see what the most important information is based on the way your branding is set up? So is there a hierarchy? So cohesion, that is the second thing that makes a brand professional. And the third thing, and someone nailed this, a couple people did in the comments, consistency. And I know that we hear this all the time, be consistent, show up consistently, but I also want to make sure that we are taking into account that the way we show up is consistent. So it's not just how frequently we're showing up, it is also how we look when we show up. So one of the questions I asked you is your branding the same and evident across multiple platforms? If it is not, you are lacking consistency. And so you really want to make sure that you are nailing that down. You want to have the same look and feel across platforms. That way, regardless of where a potential client finds you, they will be able to know, oh, this business belongs to blank. So ultimately, these are the 3 things that are going to determine what makes a brand appear professional. So these 3 things, go keep these things in mind. And if you need to, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this. I'll leave it up for a little bit. The 3 things: clarity, cohesion, consistency. So now that we've covered what makes a brand professional, let's go ahead and dive into those 5 mistakes that DIYers are making that make their brands unprofessional. So, what are they doing that is making their brand unprofessional? We'll kind of do an overview of them, and then we'll break down each one. As I'm breaking these down, guys, one thing I would love for you to do is, if you have made this mistake, and trust me, I'll be honest, I will 100% fess up to the mistakes that I have made, because I have definitely made some of these. If you've made the mistake, let us know in the comments. So here are the 5 big mistakes. And again, we're going to break these down in just a second. Number 1, they only create one logo. So in the beginning, I asked you, do you have a logo suite? One of the biggest mistakes that DIYers make is that they only create one logo. Number 2, they redesign that logo over and over and over again. They're never satisfied with it. They're changing it all the time. Number 3, they lack strategy. Number 4, they design for the business that they are today instead of the business that they're wanting to become. And the last thing that they do wrong is they wind up designing for themselves instead of their audience. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to break all of these down. And again, make sure if you're finding good golden nuggets, make sure you're putting those in the comments, okay? Like, this is note-taking time. I know what you feel like. So someone just commented, when my former company wouldn't let me create multiple logos. Yes, they were doing it wrong. You always want to have multiple logos. So we'll dive into that one first. So again, first big mistake is that they only create one logo. And you might be asking yourself, Hunter, why is that a problem? You talk about consistency. Wouldn't it be good to only have one logo? And while that seems like the most appropriate answer, it's not, because the big thing that you want to focus on is how legible is that logo in every situation you put it in. And more often than not, if you only have one logo, it will not fit perfectly in every scenario that you need it to go in. Here's an example. So let's say that you have a long rectangular logo. We can use my logo here in the corner as an example. So let's say that long rectangular logo is the only logo you have. But you need that logo to show up on your social media profile image, which is a teeny tiny little circle. Do you think that logo is going to be legible? The answer to that is no. And if it's not legible, it's not going to look clean, which again is one of those telltale signs of a professional versus unprofessional brand. You want to have an entire suite of logos, which I'll show you a logo suite in just a second. But you want to have an entire suite of logos. That way, regardless of the area or the situation that your logo needs to show up in, you will always have something that looks nice. So here's an example of a logo suite. This is my logo suite that I've built out. You can see that I have a rectangular logo. That's one for narrow and wide spaces, so like short and wide. I have a secondary logo that is more of a square. So anywhere that I need to fit inside of a circle or a square, I can use that logo. I also have a submark. So if I have, I need a stamp for something, or I'm in a very, very tight area, that's where I can use a submark. And then there's also the favicon, which we can talk about in a little bit as well. So the favicon is going to be that little icon in the top of the web corner. And that's another way to brand yourself. So we'll get to that later on, but this is just one example of a logo suite. So it gives you different options. It makes your brand look professional regardless of where your logo is showing up. And then the other great thing about it is repetition of certain elements are going to give you an opportunity and give your audience an opportunity to better remember you. So the more elements that you can repeat, so in my case with the logo suite, you can see that the V is pretty repetitive. The D with the dot is a repetitive piece. That is where people will start to recognize. So like, think about the Nike swoosh, right? That is a repetitive piece in all of their logos, whether that be a stacked logo, a vertical logo, just their little mark. that becomes a thing that people recognize. And so again, we'll kind of recap this. You want to have more than one logo. That's the way that you're going to make sure that things stay clean. The next one. So, also, if you are guilty of this, let me know in the comments. So if you only have one logo, let me know in the comments. Also, if you guys see me glancing over, it's because I'm reading your guys' comments, so bear with me. So move on to number 2. They redesign their logo over and over and over again. So this is a big issue because you are confusing your audience. They'll see one thing, they'll start to get used to it, then you'll change it, they'll see something else, and that can be really, really conflicting for them. And this also, with this confusion, comes a lack of trust. You don't look professional, you don't look like you know what you're doing. It's not someone that they feel like, it's not a business that seems to have longevity, any of that. So when you're redesigning your logo, it can be, again, just confusing. And also, kind of similar with the repetition from the logo suite, your audience needs to see the same thing over and over and over again before they remember it. So if you're constantly changing your logo, you're making it very, very difficult for your audience to remember your business. It also leaves them wondering what on earth you're doing, and it messes with consistency. So you'll, and I'm very guilty of this one, where you create one logo and then you've recreated it, but you have 15 different documents, and maybe you've changed or updated the logo on 7 of them, but a client needs a different document that has the old logo, but you don't have time to change it, so you send them with the old logo, and everything just gets very, very confusing. The way I like to describe this, and things are about to get very embarrassing, folks, so here we go. This was High School Hunter. High School Hunter was not consistent. I changed my look all the time. And so if your brand is anything like High School Hunter was, people are going to have no idea what to think. They're not going to know what you're doing. They're not going to know who you are or what you stand for, and they're going to have a hard time trusting you. So, moral of the story, don't be High School Hunter. Cynthia, thank you. Yes, don't be High School Hunter. Try not to recreate your logo over and over again. And we'll get later on in this process, we'll talk about how you can avoid that as well. But first things first is just kind of create something and stick with it. So if you are guilty of recreating your logo over and over again, let me know in the comments. And I'm going to raise my hand for this one. I have definitely recreated my logo a number of times. Alrighty, let's go to number 3. Number 3, the third biggest mistake is that people build a brand and they don't think about the strategy. So there should be a strategy behind everything that you do. It is so important that your brand have this foundation to live off of. Otherwise, you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and just kind of hoping something sticks. So if you're not going in with a plan for your branding, you're not going to necessarily hit your goals as easily. You can waste a lot of time. You can end up wasting a lot of money. You can miss out on a lot of opportunities because you've not thought out the strategy first. Some of the things that are involved in strategy are kind of that question where I asked, can you confidently say who you serve? One of the big parts of strategy is nailing down that audience. Brands that lack strategy also lack clarity, which means more often than not, they do not look professional. So strategy should 100% be the base and the foundation for your branding. You need a very solid strategy to have a very solid brand. And what this does is this ensures that your brand is actually serving a purpose. So we've got strategy as the base. Then you get into the design phase, and that also is, messaging and all these other pieces of branding. And then so those two things being leveraged is what helps you make sales. And ultimately, sales are the things that we are all trying to make, because that's what keeps our businesses operating. So think of it like a pyramid. Strategy is the base, design, sales. So I'm curious, who here did not have a strategy when they created their brand? An example of not having a strategy, and this is oftentimes what happens, is people will create something because they think it looks good. That was kind of my first brand, which we will look at in just a moment. But I created it because I thought it looked good. Like I thought, oh yes, this is what I want. But I didn't once think about who my audience was, where I was trying to go, because that's the other key piece, making sure that you have goals set. We're going to talk about that one next, designing for the business that you're becoming. But yes, so strategy is the base. So if you did not have strategy when you created your brand, or if you have made this mistake, essentially, let me know. Michelle, it boxed you guys in. See, that's a huge thing, especially as your business grows. If you kind of get stuck in whatever you've created and you build this following and stuff, and you aren't able to then change it as easily down the line, but you didn't think about that strategy first, so it's not quite serving you. I love it. I love it. So number 4, they design for the business that they are instead of the business that they are becoming. 100%, I was guilty of this one. When I first started my business, I thought to myself, because especially as a creative, I was like, ooh, I'm ready to design. I'm going to jump right in. This is it. Like, this is what I want. This is me, so on and so forth. But I wasn't sure where I was going. I wasn't sure the kind of business I wanted to be because I skipped the strategy phase. And I wasn't aware of what I needed to be doing to show up as the business I wanted to become. So what happened was I wound up looking very, very amateur. I was trying to charge a certain price and felt like I couldn't because I didn't feel like my branding matched that. I was trying to show up as an expert in a field, and again, didn't feel like my branding matched that either, even though I knew what I was talking about. But first impressions are going to be one of the biggest things that we'll learn in business, right? More often than not, especially businesses that have a very big online presence, what people see up front will often be the way that they judge you first. And so when I was designing my brand as, like I said, the business that I was, as opposed to the one that I was becoming, I was hindering myself, kind of, what Michelle had mentioned earlier, I had boxed myself in. So you really want to dress for success. The same way that you would dress yourself showing up for an interview, that is the way you want to dress for you dress your business. So your brand is a kind of the clothing that you would wear, essentially. Show up as who you want to be, even if you aren't there yet. So here's an example of my past brand, logo versus my new logo. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. The old logo, again, I was big plants are all me, right? I was like, okay, well, I want to have a leaf. Then that seems great. And I think I really like how the VDC kind of squishes together. Like, that seems good. And I can use that as a little mark. But the more I thought about it and the more I looked at it and the more I kind of grew into my brand, I realized I was like, oh my goodness, this does not match. This does not match where I'm trying to go. It felt like me, but it didn't serve me at all. It didn't scream authority. It didn't match the prices like I had said that I wanted to do. So what did I do? I went back and I redesigned it. But this time, I focused on where I wanted to be. I focused on, 5 years from now, what kind of business do I want to run? Do I still want to be working by myself, or do I want an agency? Do I want to be charging, very large numbers, or would I like to have a lot of smaller offers? All of these were things that I took into account as I was building this. So I'm curious, does your brand, because we're talking a lot about pricing here. Oh, I totally agree. It looked very busy. That first one was way too busy. I was not doing the clarity for that professionalism. It was definitely way too busy, which also made it very hard to use in those very situations. So even though I had a suite of logos, it was still very, very hard to use. So I'm curious about your guys' logos and your guys' branding. Do you feel like your current branding matches the business that you are trying to become? Let me know in the comments. Does your current branding represent the business you are trying to become? I also agree with you, Cynthia. It does look like two very different businesses and very different companies. We'll move on to number 5. And this is the last mistake. They design for themselves instead of their audience. So what this oftentimes will look like, and one of the easiest examples I can give is when we think about brand colors, right? I have heard so many business owners, especially, younger entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are like early on in their journey, who tell me, oh yeah, like I love my branding so much. It's my favorite colors. And I kind of look at them quizzically and I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad that it is your favorite colors, but my question is it your audience's favorite colors? Because the whole point of developing a brand is to attract your audience. Yes, you want to feel comfortable, but you also want to make sure that your audience is comfortable. It's resonating with them, they're attracted to it, because that's going to be what drives them to buy. So while it's fine and dandy for you to try and attract people like you, because that's another thing that we can kind of run into. A lot of solopreneurs, a lot of the time, tend to work with people who are similar to them, in which case maybe it's a little easier to develop your brand because you can think of yourself as your audience too. But for anyone who is not their ideal client, you want to make sure that what you are creating is designed for them, because that's what your brand is for. It is designed for them. And so some of the key things that you could do is, number one, ask them. Ask people, okay, what does this color say to you? Ask your ideal client, what does this color say to you? What does this logo make you feel? Ask and get feedback. We're not designing in a vacuum. Designing in a vacuum is one of the worst things that you can do. Been there, done that. And also, again, the designing for themselves instead of my audience. That's exactly what I did with my last logo. The first one that I did. I thought about myself. I was like, I love leaves. I love plants. Let me just make this. And I didn't think about how that would translate to my audience. So let me know in the comments. Are you guilty of this one? Did you design your branding for yourself as opposed to for your audience? Got a couple of people who are guilty of it. Like I said, been there, done that. Yep. Perfect. So let's go ahead and recap. So we went through all 5. We'll just go through them one more time. The 5 mistakes. They only create one logo. We talked about why that was not a good idea. You want to create a suite. Number 2, they redesign that logo over and over and over again. Remember, we're trying not to confuse our audience, so we really want to stick with something consistent. They lack strategy, which means their branding isn't necessarily serving a purpose. They can be boxed in. They design for the business that they are today, as opposed to the business they want to become. That can also box you in. That can hinder you from getting clients down the line. It can also make it difficult to raise your prices down the line as well. And they also design for themselves instead of their audience. So we've talked about what makes a brand professional. We've talked about the mistakes that you can make. Now let's go ahead and dive in to the number 1 mindset shift you need to make in order to have a successful brand. I'm going to let you know right now, we've already kind of touched on it. So it's all in the mindset. This is the one change and shift that you need to make in order to have a successful and professional brand. And here it is. Your brand is not about you. Do you need to be represented? Absolutely. Especially if you're a solopreneur or you are the face of your business, it is important that you are represented. But nonetheless, the brand is not about you. It should be about your audience and it should be about your goals. So I kind of drew up this little diagram for you guys. We have your audience on one side and you have your goals on the other side. And your branding is what you are leveraging to get your audience to help you reach your goals. So your branding is what is coaxing your audience along so that you can reach the goals, which oftentimes are sales or financial goals or something of the sort. So the way that I like to describe this is it's kind of like you're hosting a party, right? And no one is going to have fun at your party if people show up and all you do is stand up front and talk about yourself. Not going to happen. The goal of the party as the host is to make sure that everyone is having a good time. And in order to have a good time, you have to focus on how your audience feels. What do the people at your party want to do? What do they want to listen to? You know, how are they reacting? Do you need to shift something a little bit to make sure that everyone is having a good time? The same thing goes for your branding. It is not about you. It is not your show. It is about making your audience comfortable enough so that they are willing to go through the journey to become a client or customer of yours. Is this making sense? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense. If it's not, I can kind of re-explain it. So number one shift, it's not about you. Okay, it's making sense. Perfect. Okay. So far, we've covered what makes a brand professional. Excuse me. We covered the 5 biggest branding mistakes and what you can do to avoid them. We've covered the number one mindset shift. Again, it's not about you, it's about your audience and your goals. So the number one mindset shift. So are you ready for our last talking point? The last talking point. If you're ready for the last talking point, let me know in the comments. Give me a heck yes, I'm ready for that last talking point. Alrighty, we're ready. Perfect. So last thing we're going to cover today are the 3 things that you can start doing right now to make your brand more professional. So these are 3 things that when you walk away from this masterclass, I would like you to try to start doing so that you can make your brand more professional. Number 1, I want you to try to complete a thorough brand audit. We did a very, very condensed one in the beginning, but it got you thinking about some of the areas that your brand is lacking. This is going to give you a jumping off point for improvement. So you always have to start with some kind of base. This is going to let you know what direction you need to head in order to create that professional brand. So here are some examples of questions that you can ask yourself. What's the first thing that people see when they encounter your brand? And is that what you want them to see? What emotions is your current brand evoking? And are these the emotions that you're going for? What's the thought process behind your design choices? And are these choices getting you to your goals? Another one is, and we talked about this, I'm going to lean into this so hard, does this brand represent the business you are becoming? So just a couple of sample questions that you can ask yourself. The whole point here is to dive into the areas of your brand that are perhaps lacking. Because the whole point, and again, a brand, just like a human, is kind of this living creature. It's constantly growing and evolving. And so you want to make sure that you're nurturing it. And a brand audit is the perfect way to figure out what it needs. I'm going to leave this up a little bit. If you want to take a screenshot of it, go ahead so you have these questions. I'll probably leave it up for just a couple more seconds and we'll move on. Alrighty, number 2, get feedback from your ideal clients. And we've talked about over and over again, it's not about you, it's about your clients. And the best way to figure out what your clients want and need, what your ideal clients, your ideal audience, is to ask them. Again, we're not throwing spaghetti at the wall anymore. Just show up and ask. So I'm going to give you a couple of steps to do this. And this is one of my favorite games to play. So I'm going to get a little excited. Just bear with me. What I want you to do is I want you to find an online group or two where your ideal clients are hanging out. So let's say that we've sat down, we figured out who our ideal clients are, and now we're going to go to a group where we know that a lot of them are at. I want you to share your branding with the group. So share your logos, share your colors, all of that, but do not tell them what you do. Do not tell them what you do, and do not tell them who you serve. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask the members in the group what they think your business does, what they think your business offers, and who they think your business serves. And if you are finding that the answers that you are receiving are not what you do or who you serve, then I want you to ask them, okay, well, what would you have needed to see in order to have guessed the correct thing? So like, this is what I do. What would you have needed to see to know? So let's say I do a lawn service, right? What would you have needed to see to know that I mow lawns in wealthy subdivisions? What would you have needed to see? And then take that information and use that to update and improve your branding. So I've got one quick question it looks like from Cynthia. The industry I work in is very male-based. My branding is very soft and clean. How do you find a balance? It's a great question. One of the things that I would recommend doing in this instance is to perhaps find some more masculine colors. So let's think like, and also, which I'm not going to dive too deep into color psychology here, Cynthia, but if you think about as well, like colors that represent maybe strength or boldness or security, and perhaps finding one of those as a, we can call it maybe an accent color. You can have an accent color. You could also do a softer version of it. But what that'll do is that'll kind of give you a starting point, because a lot of time people, and this is the thing that I love about color, and I'm getting a little off topic, so I'm going to make it quick, guys. I don't want to keep it too long. But color is kind of the subconscious thing. So we view stuff and we subconsciously start to feel this. And so I feel like if you're kind of in a more masculine based industry, having a couple colors that they can relate to while still leaning into your femininity, and maybe you lean into the femininity in another way too, like maybe some of the shapes that you use leans into that femininity. And that's something, if you wanted to shoot me a personal message after this masterclass, I can kind of talk you through it a little bit more. But those would be some of the things that I would do right off the bat. So hopping back on, guys, the steps that you want to take: find the group, post your logos without context, ask what they think you do. And then if it's not, if the answers are not what you actually do, ask them what they would have needed to see in order to make the correct guess. Alrighty. Number 3, update your brand across your platforms. I asked you earlier if you were confident about how it was showing up. You really want to make sure you are buttoning up your branding. This is one of the biggest things. Like I said, I have plenty of documents in the past where I have not updated my branding. And then next thing you know, I'm sending it to a client and I'm like, oh shoot, like that was the old me. Now who knows what they think? Is this the same business? Is it not? So make sure that you are buttoning up your branding. I'm going to give you a list of a couple of things or a couple of areas that people often overlook that need to be buttoned up. Number 1, your email address. To look the most professional in your business, your email address should be something to the effect of name@yourbusinessname.com. When you have a Gmail address, it doesn't make your business look as legit as it could look. Even if you didn't have a website, if you just purchased the domain name and the G Suite, which I think is only maybe $12 a month, give or take, it will automatically make your business look significantly more professional. Number 2, a favicon for your website. Pardon that typo. Yeah, favicon for your website. So we talked about favicon when we covered the logo suite. This is another thing that you'll want to add to your website. It's a small little piece, small little thing, but it adds consistency, it adds professionalism, and it makes it seem like you thought everything out. Number 3, your email signature. Your email signature is an excellent place. It is an excellent place where you can add branding, whether that be the fonts that you use, whether you throw in your logo. It's a really great way because you're obviously emailing people back and forth, especially if you have an online business, you're emailing people back and forth a lot. It's a great way to kind of hone in, nail down, hey, like, yes, I am a fully branded professional business. Another example is your video content. If you're creating video content, if you have any overlays, if you have any graphics coming up on screen, making sure that those are your fonts and colors. Even if you had something, so like for me, like plants are a big part of my branding. So having something that is in your background that kind of represents your brand, or let's say you have a signature color, making sure you've got a pop of that somewhere. Anything to make your brand and business consistent all the way around. So again, anywhere that someone finds your brand or your business, they know that it belongs to you. If you want to take a screenshot of this, go ahead. I'm going to switch it over in just a second. Someone mentioned that there is a $6 option in Google Workspace. So don't let that trick you into buying the $12 option. Evidently, I was tricked. So if you can get the $6 option, go for it. All righty, so let's move on. So quick recap. We've covered what makes a brand professional, the 5 biggest DIY branding mistakes and how to avoid them, the #1 mindset shift, as well as 3 things that you can do when you leave this class to start making your brand more professional. That was a lot. We've covered a lot today. How is everybody feeling? Let me know in the comments. How are you feeling? Perfect. Excitement, perfect. So I know that branding can be a very big and sometimes quite intimidating piece to tackle, especially on your own. Like DIYing your branding can be very overwhelming. So I'm going to pose a question to you. Would you like to know what it would look like for you and I to work on this together, work on this DIYing your branding together? Would you like to know what that would look like? If so, type yes in the comments. Perfect. So I have another question for you. If you were able to start landing your dream clients, charging more for your products and services, could confidently show up in your business each day, knowing that it was professional and designed to help you reach your goals, would it be worth it to you? Would the work be worth it to you? Let me know in the comments. I want to tell you guys a story. I want to tell you a story about Kimberly. She is the owner of Moonspell Studios. We worked together one-on-one to develop her rebrand. So when she came to me, she had a number of problems that she was facing, some of which I feel like you guys might be facing as well. #1, she hated showing people her branding and her website. She told me, she's like, I do not want to send anybody to my website. It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't look like me. She said she felt like a fraud in her business. Her exact words, which always crack me up, were, I feel like I'm catfishing my clients. Like I feel like they come across my brand and then I show up and I'm not at all what they expect. She was also struggling to attract the clients that she wanted to work with. And on top of all of that, she needed to be able to charge more money in order to make her business sustainable. So she was doing shoots for a very, very low price. And she told me, she's like, I can't keep doing this. It's a side gig right now. I want it to be my full-time gig. I need to be able to charge more money so I can make this happen. So what do? We went through this process. First thing we did, which is the thing that I'm encourage all of you guys to do, is nail down the specific clients. We nailed down the specific clients she wanted to be working with. We talked about demographics. So this is, obviously age, where they're from, their gender, all of that. But we also nailed down psychographics. So this includes, what are they scared of? What motivates them? What goals do they have in their life? All of this. We then pinpointed the prices she wanted to be charging and figured out what we could do to make sure that we created a brand that captured that price range. The third thing we did is we clarified the experience she wanted her clients to have from the first time they met her, the first time they came across her brand, all the way down to the final delivery of the photographs that she took of them. And so we went through my signature process of strategy, design, and then implementation. And what was the result? She absolutely loved it. She said, I feel like my business is finally legit. Like going to work, I feel like a professional. I'm not just a hobbyist anymore. It makes me feel like my business and personality is a part of it. She's finally attracting the clients that she wanted to be working with, and everything is falling into place. So that's how Kimberly felt. And I want to share with you that you can have the same kind of success that Kimberly had. It is 100% possible. Every single one of you can have the same kind of success that Kimberly had. But the only way that you can do that is if you are willing to do the work, you're willing to try new things, you're excited and enthusiastic about learning, and you're serious about taking your branding to the next level. I have to ask you, does this sound like you? Tell me in the comments. Are you committed to doing the work? Are you willing to try new things? Are you excited and enthusiastic about learning? And are you serious about improving your brand and making it professional? Let me know in the comments. Perfect. I'm getting a lot of yeses. So, are you ready to hear how I'm going to help you show up more confidently in your business, attract the clients and customers you want to be working with, increase your revenue, and hit your goals moving forward? Give me a heck yes if you're ready, and I will share it all with you right now. Heck yes in the comments. Perfect. So I want to introduce you guys to the Brand Builder Academy. This is my debut 9-week group program that will take you through the same signature branding process that I go through with my clients. From start to finish, the exact same process that I take my clients through, I will teach you how to do for yourself. We'll start with strategy. We'll move to design. And then we'll have a section of implementation as well. So I'm going to break each of these down for you guys. In the strategy section, we'll cover things like buyer personas. We'll do market research. We'll make sure that we're covering your business goals, those 1, 3, and 5-year goals. Remember, the whole point of this is to build that brand that you're becoming, not the one that you are right now. We'll cover your unique selling points, as well as your values, business descriptors, and so much more to make sure that the foundation of the brand that you are building moving forward is solid. So again, we're going to build that solid base first, the strategy first. The next phase is the design phase. Please excuse the cat if you can hear her meowing. I'm so sorry. Design. We're going to talk about, first things first, how to use the strategy that we just worked on in order to influence your designing so that the things you create are actually strategic. We'll make a mood board. We'll talk more deeply about color and font psychology, again, to make sure that what you are creating is serving a purpose. We'll talk about what goes into a logo as well as a logo suite. We'll talk about the file types you need to have and so much more. There's going to be opportunities for critiques, for feedback, because again, we do not want to design in a vacuum. That's where some of the biggest mistakes can come from, is when we design and don't ask people for feedback. So this program has built-in feedback moments. And you'll be able to go through this entire process. So strategy, design, now we're going to move on to implementation. This is the last phase of the process. In this phase, we'll cover how to create a style guide. We'll cover, and so a style guide is something, if you don't know, is something that you would give to future employees or contractors, or you would refer to often to make sure that you're always staying on brand. We'll talk about how to keep your brand consistent. And I will also give you a step-by-step guide to getting your new brand up and running. So everything that you need to do to get your new brand from like first built to fully functioning. At the end of the program, you will walk away with a complete brand backed by strategy that you can feel confident will help you reach your goals. How is this sounding? Everybody, let me know. How are you feeling? Is this something that you are interested in? Is this something that sounds good to you? Let me know in the comments. Would it be helpful? Great question, Maddie. So Maddie asked a question. I do freelance work and am considering branding myself. Is this program something that would be applicable? The answer to that is yes. I'll talk a little bit about more. We're going to have a Q&A section at the end. I will talk about that a little bit more. Maddie, I will come back to your question. That is a great question, though. This is applicable if you are a freelancer, even if you're a freelancer or if you have a whole team of people. This program can help you. So my normal branding packages run anywhere from $3,500 to $10,500. That is for my normal one-on-one branding packages. That is not what my Brand Builder Academy costs. You can enroll in the Brand Builder Academy for just $9.97. You'll get the whole 9-week program. You'll get all of the replays as well. There'll be live sessions. There'll be Q&As, all of that for $9.97. Now, you might be asking yourself or saying, but Hunter, I am not a designer. How am I supposed to create a brand at all, let alone one that looks professional? And I want to tell you, you do not have to be a seasoned designer to build a professional brand. I promise you do not have to be a seasoned designer to build a professional brand. All you have to have is a process and the proper guidance. And I will give both of those to you in the Brand Builder Academy. I will walk you through my signature process. I will guide you through each individual piece of it. I will hold your hand. I will answer your questions, all of that. You just need the process and the guidance, and I will provide that to you. If, however, you do still feel concerned, it's okay. That is perfectly okay. I understand. If you still feel concerned, I do have another option. It's a VIP treatment. So what this is, it includes everything from the Brand Builder Academy. We will still walk through the entire process together. You will learn each of the steps. You will build the mood board. You will create the color palettes and all of that. But when it comes time to build the logo, I will take the reins. We'll have a 30-minute coaching session to flesh out your design concept. I'll develop your logo suite based off of that concept. You'll have up to 2 rounds of revision. So if we don't nail it in the beginning, that's okay. There'll be opportunities to tweak it and fix it. And at the end, you will have all of your packaged files, including Illustrator and vector files. That way, wherever you need to put your brand moving forward, you know that you have exactly what you need to do so. The VIP treatment is $1,650. So this includes everything, and then I will take the reins and I will design the logos for you, so you do not have to do it. So don't fret, don't sweat about it. We can make it through this process together. Right now, I've shared these 2 options with you. How's everybody feeling? Is there an option that's sticking out to you more than another one? Let me know in the comments. Let's go ahead and look at them side by side. So we have the Brand Builder Academy that gives you access and participation in the full 9-week program. That's the group critiques and the feedback, custom brand strategy, custom market research, complete and professional brand by Q1 of 2022, class recordings to go back and rewatch. And then you also have the option to upgrade to the VIP where I will design the logos for you so you do not have to. But this is not all, because everybody loves a bonus. I love a bonus. So I've included way more in the Brand Builder Academy than just this. If you join the Brand Builder Academy, you will also receive a buyer persona template. That way you don't have to build that yourself. Mood board template, a style guide template, all plug and play. Super easy, very easy to follow. You don't have to be a designer to do this. You'll get the implementation checklist. That way, as soon as your brand is completed, you have step-by-step what to do. Mark it off, like, okay, check, logo on website. Check, colors on website. All the way down so that your brand is fully buttoned up, fully packaged. You will also get an additional 30-minute brand coaching session with me. So this, if you're just doing the Brand Builder Academy, you'll get one 30-minute session. If you are doing the VIP, you will have two 30-minute sessions, or you can combine it to do one 60-minute session. We will also do a pre and post brand audit. So I had mentioned previously how important brand audits are. By doing one in the beginning, we'll see if you currently have a brand, we'll see where your brand is lacking and what we need to make sure we're doing to improve it if you're doing a rebrand. If you're starting from scratch, we'll dive into some of the things that you're most nervous about focusing on, some of the areas based on this conversation that we've had here, or perhaps things that you've experienced in the past or seen other businesses do. So that'll give us our nice baseline. And then we'll do one towards the end of the program, not quite at the end, but towards the end. We'll check it one more time. Okay, is everything that we're creating matching up? Are we hitting all the marks? So again, that's a pre and post brand audit. On top of all of that, as a Brand Builder Academy graduate, you will get $200 off my additional design services for the rest of your business's life. So as long as I have my business open, as long as you have your business open, you will get $200 off my design services moving forward. How is that sounding, everybody? Let me know in the comments. Perfect, perfect, perfect. If you tally all of this up, that's over $1,000 worth of value included in the program just for free in the Brand Builder Academy. But that's not all that I want to offer you, because I am very much someone who believes in taking action. You can ask my friends, a number of which I know are watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I am very much someone who loves to dive in. Like, let me dive in, let me get my feet wet, let's go ahead and get started. And so I want to reward other people who do the same, who are ready to take imperfect action, who want to jump right in. So I'm going to tell you about an additional bonus. The client experience training. This would be an additional training that can go, this would be an additional training that will come after the 9 weeks. So instead of a 9-week program, it'll be a 10-week program. We will cover what is required to create a stellar client experience. We will cover how to brand your customer journey, how to collect testimonials to make sure that your clients are kind of selling your services, or your customers are selling your services and products for you. And then small touches that you can do to make a huge difference for your client experience. So this is, like I said, an additional training. It would be another session, as well as another Q&A. We could walk you through. It's applicable to product and service-based businesses, valued at $497. If you enroll in the Brand Builder Academy by tomorrow, that's Thursday the 7th at noon, you will get the bonus client experience training absolutely free. Your 9-week program becomes a 10-week program, and all you have to do is enroll by tomorrow at noon. But I'm going to go even one step further, because again, I really do love people who are ready to jump in. I love people who are, like I said, ready to get their feet wet. Let's roll, let's roll, let's roll. So the first person to send me a message and tell me that they would like to join the Brand Builder Academy, I will personally upgrade to the VIP treatment free of charge. So the first person to reach out to me will get the VIP treatment at the normal Brand Builder Academy price. So the $997, you'll get the full VIP treatment for the $997. You have to be the first person to message me. I'm going to look at timestamps. The first person to message me will get the upgraded VIP treatment for free. Now, if you're still on the fence, I want to ask you a question. Where will your business be a year from now if you continue on the same path that you have been on? Where will your business be if you continue on the same path that you have been on? Tell me in the comments. Where will your business be a year from now if you continue on the same path that you have been on? Getting some answers in. And I want to ask you the question I asked you again earlier, which is this. If you were able to start landing your dream clients, charging more for your products and services, could confidently show up in your business each day, knowing that it was professional and designed specifically to help you reach your goals, would it be worth it? Would the work, would the investment, would the time be worth it? I have a number of people who said yes. Here's what past clients have said after working with me. I feel like my business is finally legit now. I'm attracting the kind of clients I want to work with. My brand is what I always wanted it to be. It was so refreshing, feeling seen and heard. The brand that we created was a home run. We feel confident and proud going into prospective client meetings. We were able to take an idea and really bring it to fruition. Now, I want to tell you guys my guarantee, and it's this. If you follow the program schedule and you do the work, I guarantee that you will have a completed brand ready to launch by January 1st of 2022. You won't have to sit here and wonder what your business would be like a year from now, because you will know. You will be landing the clients you want. You will be showing up confidently each and every day. You will be hitting your goals, and you'll be able to charge what you want to be charging. So if you follow the program, I can guarantee that you will have a completed brand by 2022, January 1st. So let's look at everything side by side again. We have the Brand Builder Academy, which is $997. We have the VIP treatment. And Lizzie, I'm going to answer your question real quick. You asked if the prices listed out next to them are kind of a la carte. The answer to that is yes. And then we have all of the bonuses as well. So all of the templates, the checklist, the strategy sessions, the coaching sessions, the audits, all of that. This is what I'm offering. It's the Brand Builder Academy. Again, my guarantee, you'll have a completed brand by January 1st, 2022. You can purchase, let me add this banner up as well. You can sign up and enroll at vergerdesignco.com/brandbuilderacademy. Let me also put that in the comments really quick, make this a little easier. As all of you guys are digesting this, let me know, do you have any questions? What kind of questions do we have? I know that we answered a question about the bonuses. So yes, that was a la carte pricing. This is what it would be if you had to purchase these individually. What other questions do we have? I know Maddie previously had asked about freelance. Oh, when does the program start? Excellent question. So the program will start Wednesday, October, I believe it's October 22nd. So carts close on the 15th of October. The following Wednesday is when the classes will start. Yes, the academy. So where is it taking place? Okay, so the academy will take place in a private Facebook group. So it will not be this group, it'll be a separate group. That's where all the live trainings will happen. It will be given as kind of a Zoom link so we can all show up together. So you'll be there, we can ask questions, we can answer questions, all of that. And then that group is also where the live Q&As will happen. And if you sign up for the Brand Builder Academy, I'll give you more information on what all of that will look like. You'll get a syllabus and all of this. Great questions. So Maddie, your freelance question. Yes, regardless of whether you are a freelancer, a solopreneur, someone who has a large team, it doesn't matter. This Brand Builder Academy can be applicable to you. Any other questions? I forgot to go to my question slide. There we go. I want to make sure you guys are comfortable, so I'm here to answer any questions you might have. Good question, Laura. What would the time commitment look like over those 9 weeks? Okay, so we have the classes on Wednesdays, and then there will be a live Q&A that you will submit questions for that'll happen on Fridays. Each week, you can expect to spend about 3 to 4 hours of time showing up to the class and doing the work. Some weeks will be a little bit more flexible than others. It's just going to depend, but on average, expect to spend about 3 to 4 hours of work. Again, this is kind of an accelerated program, and we want to make sure that we get that brand ready to go and launched by January 1st. Great question, Laura. Great question. Another question came in. This might sound silly, but what is the point of a mood board? Asking as someone who isn't a designer. Totally fair question. Not a silly question at all. So the mood board will kind of be your starting point. So this is going to be after we've done the strategy. This is going to be the first part of the design phase. It's going to be where we pull together all of our inspiration. It's going to be where we start pulling colors from, finding emotions, I hate to say the word mood, but again, it's kind of developing the mood for your business moving forward. It's kind of the vision. Where do we want to take it? You can start playing around with fonts here as well, imagery, all of that. So that's kind of what the mood board is. Great question. Not a silly question at all. Great question. Another good question. Okay, so is this something that I could apply to multiple businesses? The answer to that is yes. And that's one of the things I think is a really, really great point with the Brand Builder Academy, is that if you have multiple businesses, which honestly most entrepreneurs do, we start with one and then we build multiple down the line, you can apply this same process to every business you create moving forward, which grand scheme of things will wind up saving you a lot of money because you won't have to hire help for each of those. You can confidently DIY a brand for each of these businesses moving forward. Great question. Yes, it is something that can be applied to multiple businesses. Once you know the process, you can move on forward. One of my favorite things, kind of like you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever. Same thing. You learn this process, you will have profitable brands for the foreseeable future of your businesses. Great question. Any other questions? What is the difference between making your brand the business you're becoming instead of the business of the future? Referencing an earlier point where you said we need to create our logo for the business we are instead of the businesses we will be in the future. What is the difference between making your brand the business you're becoming instead of the? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the business you are becoming versus the business you are in the future, it's the same thing. Both of those are. I also want to mention that there are payment plans available. So if the numbers are something that makes you uncomfortable, there are payment plan options. You can find those on the website on that sales page. An easy platform to build your brand with. Great question. So one of the easiest platforms that you can build a brand with, obviously I am a huge fan of the Adobe suite, but a lot of the time if you're not a designer, it's not worth getting. You can build a brand within Canva. And that's actually what I will teach you how to do in the Brand Builder Academy. If you do the VIP treatment, I will build your brand in Illustrator as opposed to on Canva. But what I'll be teaching you how to do is go through each of those pieces and build your logos there, figure out your color palettes. That's where all the templates will be made because it's super accessible for everybody. I can walk you through some of the tips and tricks during the Academy as well. Great question. Great question. Any other questions before we hop to the drawing? I want to give you guys a little bit more time in case you come up with some. Also, if you wind up having questions down the line and you want to shoot me a message. Okay, another good one. So what if I already have a brand that I'm not super happy about? Will the Brand Builder Academy be useful on building upon or improving a brand versus just starting from scratch? The answer to that is yes. So regardless of whether you're wanting to rebrand or start from the very, very beginning, the Brand Builder Academy, it's the same process. The only thing that would be a little bit different is the pre-brand audit. That's the only thing that's going to be a little bit different. Everything else will be the same. The process is applicable both ways. Great question. Any more before we wrap it up? I know that you all have been very patient. You've sat with me for, how long has it been? What, an hour and 15, almost an hour and a half. I hope you guys were able to gather a lot from what we talked about today. I hope that I can see some of you in the Brand Builder Academy. I think it'll be really, really helpful. Question. My biz partner is unavailable on Wednesday evenings. Will I still be able to include him in this process if he can't attend the Wednesday sessions? Michelle, absolutely. Absolutely. So what we can do, because all of these sessions will be recorded and he can rewatch those. And then Michelle, if you joined, one thing that you and I could potentially do is sit down and maybe come up with a separate plan where maybe I create, and the syllabus will help too, but it'll give you some more information about like when we can meet coaching session wise. So if you and I wanted to get together and do the coaching session at a separate time. So instead of doing a coaching session on a Wednesday because he's not available, we could do them on another time. And then for the Q&A sessions that happen on Fridays, I request that people kind of submit questions early. So if he just wants to go through and like watch the replay ahead of time before the Friday session and submit additional questions that maybe he couldn't have asked in the live, I'll be sure to answer all of those. But if there's still some kind of conflict, Michelle, you and I can talk personally and figure something out. Great question. Really great question. Because I know that sometimes people aren't always available, and that's A-okay. That is why I do the replays, but I do want to be accommodating. It's really important that, we're all able to take away from this what we need to. Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. Great question. Any others? Alrighty, so yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you had a good time, Lizzie. It was a great time. Let's go ahead and see who won the gift card. Let me pull that up. real quick. 1 second. We've got to put all the names in. I'm so glad you guys were able to take so much away from this. Seriously. Like, this was so fun. I'm glad that you all showed up. I'm glad that you participated, that we had a good time. Again, if you ever have questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Like, I am here to help you. That is what my ultimate goal is. As for the gift card, it looks like Deronda. Deronda, you were the winner of the Amazon gift card. So Deronda, if you want to shoot me a individual message, and actually I can just shoot you a message when I hop off of here, we can set up some information, kind of share that, and I can get you that gift card. But everyone, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much for showing up to this. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your support. I'm glad that you all were able to take value away from this. And again, if you ever have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Yes, congratulations, Deronda. I'll reach out to you soon. And yeah, well, I will see you guys online. Bye. Have a good night.